Episode 14. The Manor's Secret. The scream was faint, but Ryan's heightened senses didn't miss it. The sound faded in an instant, but the desperation and pain packed into that brief moment were unmistakably human. Ryan quietly got up and pressed his ear to the door. There was no sound from the hallway, not even the footsteps of patrolling guards. It was as if the entire manor were dead silent. Does this manor have secret passages, or perhaps soundproofing magic? He began to search the room thoroughly. Ornate wallpaper, expensive furniture, thick carpets. Everything looked perfect, but Ryan was a master at finding the slightest thing out of place. He tapped each wall, listening to the sound, and tried to find any creaking floorboards. His eyes fell on the fireplace. The fire had been out for a long time, and it was cold, but it was unusually large for the size of the room. And there was a section of bricks inside the fireplace that was a slightly different color. Ryan scraped the gap between the bricks with the tip of his dagger. With a click, the entire back wall of the fireplace swung inward like a huge door. As I thought, Ryan smiled with satisfaction. Before him, a dark stone staircase leading down was revealed. A gust of cold, damp air rushed out. Mixed in the air was a faint but disgusting smell. The smell of blood and a pungent, chemical-like burning odor. It was similar to the black smoke the innkeeper had mentioned. Sir Boren, wait here. I'm going to take a quick look, Ryan whispered. It's dangerous, real. Let's go together. No, you need to stay here and keep watch. If I'm not back in an hour, you must escape this manor by any means necessary and alert the villagers. Ryan spoke firmly to Boren and then stepped into the darkness. The stairs went much deeper than he had expected. After a long descent, a wide underground space opened up. It was a grim and horrifying place, a stark contrast to the opulence of the manor above. Unidentifiable instruments of torture hung on the walls, and dried bloodstains littered the floor. Ryan moved along the wall, holding his breath. The underground area was divided into several rooms. The first room was a prison. Behind the iron bars, there was only straw on the floor. It was empty, but the lingering air of fear and despair seemed to remain. He moved to the next room. A faint light was seeping from under the door. Rian carefully peeked through the crack in the door, and in that moment, he couldn't believe his eyes. The place looked like an alchemist's laboratory. It was filled with countless glass vials, distillers, and strange apparatus. And on a table, unidentifiable liquids were bubbling and boiling. And in the middle of the room stood a man. He looked like the Baron's butler, but his current appearance was far from that of an ordinary servant. He wore a black robe, and strange tattoos were etched on his face. His eyes gleamed with a fanatical heat. The butler stood before a large cauldron, chanting something as he threw powders of strange colors into it. Inside the cauldron, something was squirming in the boiling solution. It was a human arm. Ryan gasped involuntarily. Just then, the butler suddenly turned his head and stared towards the door where Ryan was hiding. His eyes glowed eerily in the dark. Who's there? He'd been spotted. Ryan instinctively bolted and ran down the opposite end of the corridor. Behind him, the laboratory door flew open and the butler rushed out. A rat has crept in. Guards! Call the guards! An alarm began to blare throughout the entire basement. Rian ran for his life. He retraced his steps, heading for the stairs. The footsteps of several people were chasing him from behind. What's happening? Warren's voice came from the top of the stairs. Ryan shouted as he bounded up the stairs. No time to explain. We have to get out of here now. As soon as he burst into the room, Warren slammed the secret fireplace door shut with his immense strength. The door closed with a thud, but from the other side, a loud crashing sound began as if someone was trying to break it down. Through the window! Hurry! Ryan and Warren smashed the guest room window and jumped out. It was a second story drop, but fortunately a soft lawn lay beneath the window. They rolled as they landed, absorbing the impact. The entire manor was in an uproar. Torch-wielding guards were swarming from all directions. This way! Ryan led Warren, weaving through the maze-like bushes of the garden, sprinting towards the outer wall. Behind them, the Baron's furious shout cut through the night air. Get them! Don't let them escape. They were no longer the Baron's honored guests. They were merely intruders who had glimpsed the manor's terrible secret and now had to be eliminated. Episode 15, The Midnight Chase. Damn it all, Ryan cursed, gasping for breath. His once magnificent nobleman's outfit was torn by branches and covered in dirt, leaving him a complete mess. Beside him, Warren ran with long, steady strides, showing no signs of fatigue despite his heavy armor. His steel-like stamina truly shone in moments like these. They reached the high outer wall of the manor. The top was lined with sharp iron spikes, making it look difficult to climb. Behind them, the shouts of the guards and the barking of hounds grew closer and closer. Sir Warren, throw me! Ryan yelled. What? Hurry! I said, throw me over that wall. Warren hesitated for a moment, but quickly grasped Ryan's intent. He wrapped both arms securely around Ryan's waist. Hold on tight. With a roar, Warren threw Ryan up and over the wall with all his might, as if he were tossing a log. Ryan's body flew through the air in an arc. He barely managed to grab the top of the wall, avoided the spikes, and tumbled over to the other side. He rolled several times as he hit the ground. His whole body ached, but it seemed nothing was broken. Sir Warren, now it's your turn. But it was impossible for Warren to get over the wall. It was too heavy, and there was no one to throw him. Just then the guards appeared before him, holding torches. Stop right there, you thieves. Warren drew his greatsword and stood before the guards. Ryan, go on ahead. I will hold them off. Don't be ridiculous. We have to go together. No, at least one of us has to get out and expose the truth. Now go. Warren was resolute. He was prepared to sacrifice his own life to save Ryan. Ryan hesitated. Abandoning Warren wasn't his way. But if they were both captured here, it would all be over. He gritted his teeth. I will come back for you, Sir Warren. I swear it. With those parting words, Russian disappeared into the darkness. Behind him, Warren's thunderous roar and the clash of steel blades echoed in the night. Ryan ran like a madman. He didn't head for the village. He would be quickly surrounded there. He ran in the opposite direction, straight towards the Shadow Wood. Paradoxically, the most dangerous place he had known was now the safest refuge available to him. After running for what felt like an eternity, he finally reached the familiar entrance to the forest. Without a backward glance, he threw himself into its shadows. As soon as he entered the woods, the noise of the outside world ceased, as if it had been alive. He leaned against a tree, gasping for breath, his heart pounding as if it would burst. Warren, I hope he's all right. It was the first time. The first time Ryan had ever genuinely worried about someone else. He, who had always lived thinking only of his own survival. But boring, steadfast loyalty was beginning to melt a frozen corner of his heart. He took out the blue petal that Dryas had given him. In the darkness, the petal emitted a faint but warm light. He clutched it tightly. It was the only thing he could count on right now. The Baron and that butler. What were they doing in that basement? A human arm. Could it be related to the disappearing miners? A terrible thought flashed through his mind. This was no simple case of a corrupt lord. Something far larger and more sinister was stirring beneath this peaceful village. Ryan made a decision. He would not run. He had to save Boren, and he had to uncover the Baron's secret. But to do that, he needed help. He couldn't do it alone. He stood up, and he began to walk towards the deepest part of the forest, towards the place where Dryas resided. He now had to ask for help from the very forest spirit he had once tried to deceive. It was the most ironic moment